Hold up, hold up. What I witnessed on Sportcenter last night is going to completely redefine how you view this Warriors season. And I'm not talking about some minor roster addition here. This is championship-level strategic thinking happening in real time. The kind of move that separates pretenders from legitimate title contenders. So I'm watching this breaking news segment unfold, and when Shams Charania drops the Al Horford bombshell, I literally had to pause my DVR, because the implications are absolutely staggering for Golden State's championship aspiration. Let me break down what really went down during this SportsCenter coverage, because the surface-level Warriors sign veteran center narrative completely misses the deeper strategic brilliance of what Mike Dunleavy Jr. just accomplished. The panel was going through all the details of this multi-year commitment from Horford, and what emerged was a masterclass in roster construction that addresses every single weakness that's plagued Golden State over the past few seasons. First, let's talk about the timing of this announcement, because context is everything in these situations. The Warriors were about to enter Media Day with only 9 players officially signed to the roster. 9. That's not just embarrassing from an organizational standpoint. That's strategic chaos that undermines everything you're trying to build as a championship contender. The SportsCenter analysts were emphasizing how this signing immediately stabilizes the entire roster construction while sending a very clear message to Jonathan Kuminga about his future with the franchise. Here's what the broadcast crew was really diving into, and this is where the chess match becomes fascinating. By committing to Horford on a multi-year deal, the Warriors are essentially telling Kuminga, "We're making our moves with or without you, so figure out what you want to do." That's not just roster management. That's psychological warfare designed to force a resolution to the Kuminga situation that's been hanging over the organization for months. But let's talk about what Horford actually brings to this team, because the SportsCenter analysis went way beyond the obvious stuff. Yeah, everyone knows he's a veteran presence, a championship-tested player who just won a title with Boston, but what the panel was really excited about was how perfectly his skill set addresses the Warriors' most glaring weaknesses from last season. They've been searching for a legitimate starting center for years, cycling through guys like Kevon Looney, Trace Jackson-Davis, and Quinton Post in roles they weren't quite ready for. Horford isn't just filling a roster spot, he's providing exactly what this system needs. The SportsCenter crew pulled up footage showing his defensive versatility, his ability to switch on screen, his rim protection instinct, but more importantly for Golden State's offensive philosophy, he's a legitimate three-point threat who can space the floor in ways that completely transform their offensive possibilities. When you have a center who can stretch defenses to the perimeter, while Steph Curry and the other guards work their magic, that creates mathematical advantages that are almost impossible to defend. The broadcast then shifted to something that I think is even more significant than the Horford signing itself: DeAnthony Melton working out at Chase Center. The panel was reporting that Melton has been seen going through full workouts and progressing well from that ACL injury that derailed his season. Now, this is where the strategic vision becomes absolutely brilliant, because if you can get Melton back to full health, you're talking about one of the perfect backcourt partners for Steph Curry in the entire league. The SportsCenter analysts spent significant time breaking down why the Melton fit is so crucial for this team's championship aspirations. Curry is a solid defender, and the panel made sure to emphasize this point because he gets unfairly criticized. But at his age, and with his offensive responsibilities, you need an elite perimeter defender alongside him. Melton was exactly that before the injury, and if he can return to that form, it solves one of the Warriors' biggest vulnerabilities on the defensive end. What really caught my attention during the segment was how they connected these signings to the broader roster construction and rotation planning. The show was projecting out the full 15-man roster, and when you see all the pieces laid out together, it's actually kind of scary how deep and versatile this team could be. You've got Curry, potentially Melton, Buddy Hield, Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, and Gary Payton II in the backcourt. That's legitimate 8-deep guard rotation with multiple guys who can defend, shoot, and create advantages. Then you move to the front court, and this is where the Horford signing creates this domino effect of improved depth and flexibility. With Horford handling starting center duties, guys like Trace Jackson-Davis and Quinton Post can develop in their natural roles as backup centers rather than being thrust into starting responsibilities they might not be ready for. The panel was particularly excited about TJD's potential, showing highlights of that game against Giannis, where he had 2 incredible blocks and looked like he belonged on that stage. The Seth Curry speculation became a major talking point during the broadcast, and this is where the strategic vision gets even more impressive. If Golden State can add Seth alongside everything else they're building, you're talking about a roster with ridiculous shooting depth. The Sportcenter crew was practically salivating over the possibility of having both Curry brothers in the same offense, creating the kind of off-ball movement and three-point barrage that made the Warriors' dynasty so devastating. But here's where the analysis got really interesting, and this is something that casual fans might miss: the psychological and cultural impact of these moves. Al Horford is coming off a championship season in Boston, bringing that championship DNA and veteran leadership that you simply cannot teach. The panel was emphasizing how players like Horford elevate everyone around them not just through their play, but through their preparation, their professionalism, their understanding of what it takes to win at the highest level. The broadcast then circled back to the Kuminga situation, and this is where the pressure tactics become really apparent. The Warriors are essentially forcing his hand by making all these moves around him. Either he commits to the team and accepts his role within this new structure, or he gets traded to Sacramento, or wherever else wants him. But the message is clear: Golden State is building a championship roster with or without him. What struck me most about the entire Sportcenter segment was how it revealed the Warriors' long-term thinking and commitment to championship contention while Curry is still in his prime. These aren't desperate moves by a franchise trying to recapture past glory. These are calculated, strategic decisions by an organization that understands exactly what it takes to compete at the highest level. Horford might be 39 years old, but in today's NBA, where sports science and player maintenance have evolved dramatically, age is becoming less relevant than basketball IQ and situational awareness. The panel kept coming back to this comparison with LeBron James, who's playing at an elite level well into his 40s, and Curry himself, who continues to look as good as ever despite being in his mid-30s. Modern players are extending their primes in ways that would have been impossible a generation ago, and Horford represents exactly that kind of intelligent veteran who can contribute meaningfully even at an advanced age. The depth and versatility that these moves create is what really has championship implications, and the Sportcenter analysis did a brilliant job explaining why. When you can go 8 or 9 deep with legitimate NBA players who fit your system, that changes everything about how you can manage the regular season, how you can handle injuries, how you can adjust your rotations in playoff situations. The Warriors haven't had that kind of depth in years, and now suddenly they're approaching the kind of roster construction that defines championship team. Media Day was happening the next day, and the panel was already speculating about how different the energy and expectations are going to be around this team. When you have Jimmy Butler, Buddy Hield, Stephen Curry, and potentially all these other pieces in place, that's the kind of roster that generates legitimate championship buzz rather than just nostalgic hope. The timing couldn't be more perfect either, with just 23 days until the season starts. These moves create momentum and excitement heading into training camp, give the coaching staff clear rotation options to work with, and most importantly, send a message to the rest of the league that Golden State is serious about making another championship run. That's what went down on Sportcenter last night, and honestly, the more I think about these moves, the more convinced I become that the Warriors might have just set themselves up for something special. This isn't just about nostalgia or trying to recreate past magic. This is about smart basketball management, positioning a franchise for legitimate championship contention in 2025.